Because the Gervasuti route is on the Italian side of the Mont Blanc range, we had to drive through the Tunnel du Mont Blanc to the other side. We spent a night in the Italian Valferre and packed our bags.
We could take a soup as well.
Yes, that's a good idea. Should we take a vegetable soup? Tomato and mozzarella? From there we could see the face above us and we could see where we had to climb. And it looked pretty daunting that we had to go get up there without any lifts. So we spent the next day walking up. It was about a 6 hours approach, mostly just walking, but it was really steep. And then we had to do some soloing over easy ground. At one point we had to rope up because it was pretty hard, smearing on the granite in our mountain boots. But apart from that, it was a pretty easy day. And we arrived at the Jackia hut. Had amazing 360-degree views all across the Italian Valferre. There's 4 sort of small beds in there, but pretty comfortable, and there's blankets, so we didn't have to bring sleeping bags with us. It's quite nice as well because unlike a lot of huts in the Mont Blanc range, not many people go to this one. On average, 4 parties a year go to the Jackia hut, so it felt quite quiet and remote. We looked through the guest book and it's quite interesting because we actually knew one of the British teams in there from a few years ago. And it's quite nice to see the stories of other people and what they were doing when they were up there. And we arrived in time to make our dinner and watch the sunset. So the plan was to wake up at about 4 in the morning, and we guessed that it was about 3 or 4 hours to the base of the wall. But in actual fact, we woke up at 4 and we spent 8 hours reaching the base of the wall. There's Peter doing the abs onto the ledge system, that snowy ledge system that will then take across to the base of the route. Yes, it took ages for us to get here, and very complicated approach along the ridgeline back there. And it's not, it's easy climbing, but it's really tiring, carrying the rucksack, route finding the whole time, climbing over really chossy ground, not really knowing where we were going. So yeah, it's not really the best start, but I guess we're signed up for a long day, and the views are pretty spectacular. We started the route at 2 in the afternoon, which was a lot later than we expected. When we started, it felt very committing because we were already way behind schedule. We already knew that we didn't have that many hours light left. It never looked as long and complicated as it actually ended up being. It's basically this sort of knife-edge ridge of choss. You'd think it's easy to navigate along a ridge, but it ended up taking forever. There was no real means of descent without actually going up first. We were already pretty committed by that point. Any way back down to the valley would be really involved, long and complicated. When we first had the idea of climbing the Gervasuti route, we knew that it hadn't had a free ascent. We sort of had it in the back of our minds that maybe we would try to free it, but that certainly wasn't happening. But it's left, it's open, it's out there. Someone should come along and free it, because the pitch looks quite cool. It looks hard, but it looks quite cool. Maybe it would go at something like 8A. And up there is the summit of the Grandes Jorasses. To be honest, the hardest pitches for me were the last pitches, which were 6A slab or something, but they were covered in meltwater and they ended up being quite scary in the dark. And probably about midnight or so, we found a nice ledge near the top to make a bivvy. And then we spent a very cold night. To go light, we didn't bring sleeping bags. We just brought a boffy bag and a roll mat between us. There was awesome views in the morning with the sun rising over the Italian Valferre. We boiled up some tea and went to the top. And then we had basically a whole day of descending the normal route up the Grandes Jorasses. So the route was a success in the sense that we got up and down the mountain alive. This was probably one of the longest sort of up and over style routes I've done, where you start at the bottom, you go to the summit, you carry your boots with you, your crampons and your ice axe. It's an alpine adventure. You can just ab down El Cap really easily and get to the ground and go and have some beer. You couldn't just ab down the Gervasuti route and go and get a beer. It'd take like 2 days to get down from halfway up the Gervasuti route.